Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim, and on Wednesday last, Marvel released the trailer that was 17 movies in the making. The trailer for Avengers Infinity War. Oh yes, baby. And it was awesome. Let me tell you something. After all this time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that went into this franchise, seeing it finally come together in the trailer, boy, it
does put a smile on my face.
Many other channels have broken down the trailer itself, and that's not really what we're here for today. I want to talk about the real stars of the movie. No, not them. Not them either. No. Yes, them. The Infinity Gems, and with them, the ability to control all of space, time, and reality. These little stones have been the silent focus of at least half of the film so far, and for good reason. There's a lot of story to tell with them. But exactly what are the Infinity Stones? And where do they come from? And how do they tie into this whole grand master plan that Kevin Feige and company have come up with? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out today. There are two stories to go along with that. One from the comics, and one from the movies. They're both equally long and complicated, so I hope you'll excuse me if I cut out a few points for brevity, but I'm hoping that by the end of it, we'll see that though the comics do take a slightly different path, understanding our past will be able to help us predict our future just a little bit. Now then, let's get this road on the show, shall we? The gems made their first appearance all the way back in 1972, when the Soul Gem was given by the High Evolutionary to Adam Warlock. Yes, that Adam Warlock, for saving his life and stopping him from blowing up the very world that he had just created. There it lives mostly happily, as long as Adam can control it anyway, until the big purple man himself, Thanos, showed up in 1977 to literally snuff out the stars using the gathered energies from all 6 gems. And he almost gets away with it too, if it weren't for that pesky neighborhood Spider-Man who shows up at the last second to free a trapped Adam Warlock, who then deals the final blow and then turns this bitch ass to stone. The gems then spend a little bit of time with the Silver Surfer as he tries to stop the Elders of the Universe from using Galactus' drained power and the gems to create an alternate universe, ultimately landing them in a black hole, and then he and Susan Richards, or Susan Storm, or Invisible Woman, whatever you want to call her, go in, and then she ends up going all Hellraiser on everybody. It is a mess. And then finally, they end up back in the hands of the Elders of the Universe. And then, boom, Thanos kicks open the door and he starts tearing ass through all of them, man. I mean, he's dropping elbows left, right, front, and center. He takes back all 6 of the gems, kicks the shit out of Silver Surfer, traps Nebula in a suspended state of eternal burning, and just as what's left of the Silver Surfer makes it back to Earth to warn everybody, half of creation, half of the universe, destroyed instantly. For love. Yes, even the big bald man needs love too, as it's revealed that this entire plot was just a love letter to Lady Death, who revived him because she felt that a cosmic imbalance between the living and the dead would bring great ruin upon the entire universe. Now, of course, after the deed was done, she didn't really feel the same way about him that he did about her. And hell hath no fury like a titan scorned. So, when our heroes, or what was left of them anyway, finally do arrive, there's not much resistance that they can offer, but they continue fighting anyway, and Thanos works them over something but good. And it continues until Nebula, poor sweet forgotten baby Nebula, is able to make her way over to the gauntlet herself and restores everything to the way it was 24 hours ago, winding back up into that ashen heap that she was seconds ago, but hey, at least she did a good thing, right? I'm kidding. Thanos thinks he has an opportunity to grab the glove. She says, "Not fast enough, sucker," and restores herself back anyway, finding phenomenal cosmic power in the process. And of course, its consequences. Adam Warlock then plays the dad card on everyone, taking the gauntlet and placing Thanos in a farm-up state to think about what he did. Adam Warlock then faces the Cosmic Tribunal, is found to be too powerful to hold this relic, and then challenges them to a fight, which would ultimately destroy like 3/4 of the universe. And so the gods are like, can we just work out a deal? Maybe, please? And so the resolution is to scatter the stones to a few chosen guardians across the universe, and they are called the Infinity Watch. Now the story continues on from there, but I think that for the purposes of this video, that's where we're going to stop. You still there? You still with me? Everything making sense here? Good. There's a lot more information to come, but now we're at the fun part. Now we're on the movies. And in the movies, the Infinity Stones are crystalline ingots made from the first 6 singularities in the Big Bang. They each contain immense power and can only be touched by those who are strong enough to wield them, as we saw many, many times over when people go kaboom if they touch them accidentally. Though the colors may be shifted around a bit, the gem's powers are the same from the comics to the movies. Almost every gem in the movies, however, has some sort of corresponding vessel that it goes in when it's not slotted into the gauntlet. The Tesseract was the first vessel we see in the Marvel Universe, and it holds the Space Stone, with the power to be anywhere at any time throughout the universe. The Mind Stone was inside the Chitauri Scepter when it premiered, allowing Loki to take his pokey stick and enslave the minds of Hawkeye, a few minor agents, and a somehow even more crusty Stellan Skarsgård. The Reality Stone is probably the most unique so far in that at room temperature, it's a liquid. In its natural state, this semi-symbiote will be absorbed into the user, granting complete control over reality itself, bending and shaping it to their will. The Power Stone is next, originally broken out of its Moragian prison by
Star-Lord. Who?
This stone is contained inside the orb and allows manipulation of energy to devastating effect. The Time Stone was unveiled in Doctor Strange as the Eye of Agamotto and allows complete mastery over time itself, rewinding, forwarding, or even looping time as need be. And the 6th and final stone, the Soul Stone, the one that Adam Warlock got way back in the comic book days, allows the user to steal, control, manipulate, and alter living and dead souls, essentially giving the user full control over all life in the universe when at full power. This stone is the one stone that is yet to be revealed, and there are a few theories as to why, but we'll get to those in a few minutes. Now then, all 6 stones are on this universal-sized field somewhere. We're going to go through this one by one because this is where things can get a little interesting here as we track the movements of the stones. Our first exposure to the Infinity Stones didn't actually come until 2011, in Captain America: The First Avenger, 3 full years after Iron Man got this roller coaster started. According to this story, the Tesseract was in Odin's care, locked away in the vault, until for some reason he decided to move it to Earth. There we see it locked away secretly underground in this Yggdrasil carving, until Hydra Commander Johann Schmidt, the man who would eventually become the Red Skull, uncovered its location. It would be used as a power source for his weapons of war, and worked really well until Captain America caused him to touch the cube directly, which would transport him into deep space and cause the cube to go dissolving through the floor alien style until it landed on the ocean floor. Later, it would be found by Howard Stark before his time at S.H.I.E.L.D. and studied there by Dr. Selvig, first underground, then in the Mojave Desert. And of course, it was quickly stolen by Loki at the beginning of the first Avengers movie, and were introduced at the same time to the Mind Stone, a gift from Loki's Chitauri masters who themselves got from Thanos. Reindeer Games then loses the Cosmic Cube and the Loki Pokey Stick, and the cube goes back to Asgard, where it would sit until Thor Ragnarok. Sticky Fingers McHornface just can't fucking stand it, and as we see in the Infinity War trailer, somehow he made off like a bandit from Odin's vault just before it got destroyed. The question is, who is he giving the cube to in this scene? Does it have one last handoff before it makes it to the fist that rocks the universe? Or is this an olive branch to the Titan from Titan himself? To, make up for failing all those times before. Either way, we know he definitely gets it because... So the Mind Stone made it all the way to Earth thanks to Loki and the Chitauri. But what happened to it afterwards? Well, after stopping the massive portal the Space Stone opened in the middle of New York City, Black Widow turned it over to S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. was then infiltrated by Hydra in a little comic book side story, and the staff was taken over to Hydra for safekeeping. Baron von Strucker had it brought over to Sokovia and used it to create the Wunder twins, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. The Avengers then storm the place, take the scepter back, and then Tony uses the staff to make Ultron. Ultron steals the staff, uses it himself a few times, and then creates the perfect body and host for the gem, but is defeated before he can transfer himself into it. Then, thanks to a little Asgardian might, the Mind Gem fuses with that perfect body to create the being known as Vision. And there it would sit. For now. The Aether, or the Reality Stone, was introduced in Thor: The Dark World. a mysterious and powerful substance. Odin's father Bor had it buried away for 5 millennia after the Dark Elves try and use it to lay waste to the 9 realms until little Jane Foster gets into trouble again, stumbling through a portal during Convergence to where the Aether was being held, and into her it goes. It makes her super powerful and super sick, so Thor smuggles her into the realm of the Dark Elves, where he gives the Aether back to the Dark Elves. Jesus fucking Christ! And the rest is fairly simple, really. Dark Elves invade the 9 realms, Asgardians stop them, and then this time send the Aether to the middle of nowhere, where it currently rests. Funnily enough, exactly where Thanos got it in the comics. Next up, the Power Stone made its debut in the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, the one with
Star-Lord, man.
And it's in this scene where Peter steals the orb, takes it off planet, and goes straight to the Collector. After a little bit of backstory and some super foreshadowing for the end of the movie, this lady touches it, and the Guardians take off with it again and are almost immediately assailed by a Kree radical named Ronan the Accuser. Ronan takes the stone, double-crosses Thanos, and takes his power for himself. And of course, greed always gets the best of Season 1 villains, doesn't it? After destroying thousands of the Nova Corps, he's eventually taken down by Star-Lord, and with a little bit of help from his friends and some celestial blood, the stone is turned over to Cruella de Vil and what's left of the Nova Corps, where it will stay until Thanos inevitably kills every last person on Xandar and takes the stone for himself. Well, hopefully not every last one. And the last stone we have any definitive knowledge on is the Time Stone, otherwise known as the Eye of Agamotto. This overpowered time turner was created by the first Sorcerer Supreme and a man so powerful he named the relic after himself, Agamotto. It rests in Kamartaj, a mystical medical village deep in Kathmandu, Nepal, and guarded by the Ancient One, until Stephen Strange appears on her doorstep. After Strange stumbles into using its power to manipulate the time stream, he figures out how to use it properly and confronts Dormammu using its power to stop him immediately. Well, after a few tries. And with its job complete, the Eye is returned to the pedestal in Kamartaj with a new Sorcerer Supreme to protect it. Being one of the more powerful of the gems, it will probably end up being one of the last ones Thanos goes for. But for a being who could potentially have at least 3 of the stones before he even lands on Earth, it might not be that big of an imposition for him. Which brings us all the way back around to the 6th and final gem, the Soul Stone. Now this one's kind of fun to theorize about because there are 2 major camps at play here, and both are pretty equally plausible. The first and most loyal to the comics is that it could be within the head of a certain pure gold being named Adam, who's about to be wakened by Aisha, High Priestess of the Sovereign, also pure gold. The Soul Gem controls the power of life, so it would be small potatoes to use it like the Mind Stone and Vision to create another being as its vessel. Part of me thinks that at the end of all this, Adam will probably end up with the stone, but I doubt he'll have it at the beginning because it would be kind of gauche of Marvel to just introduce this all-powerful cosmic character only to then have the gem ripped away immediately from his head. Oh, and scenario number 2, the Soul Stone is already on Earth, deep in the heart of Africa. That's right, now we're talking about the upcoming February release, Black Panther. It's possible that the gem rests deep in the heart of Wakanda, and with it and the discovery of vibranium, it fueled the incredible technology that's held within. Of course, we'll get the answer to that sooner rather than later, but that scenario would also even out the score of the location of the gems, with 3 being in outside space and 3 being here on Earth. Now remember the words of Odin, however, it's dangerous to keep too many in one place. And we may get to see exactly what he means by that when Thanos comes a knocking to take all 3 of our stones and fuck off. Because remember, his endgame is not just gathering the stones. He's gathering these stones for a purpose. We have no direct Lady Death for Thanos to be appealing to necessarily, but we do have a goddess of death that is equally deathly and equally single. So while we have no real leads on why Thanos is coming to town, we can assume it's not to make a summer home here. He's got much bigger plans in mind. Oh, I almost forgot about a third theory. The Soul Gem could potentially be in the Eye of Heimdall. Now wouldn't that be interesting? Or in his breastplate, one of the 2. But I think it might be his eyes. I mean, after all, he does have extrasensory perception when it comes to seeing the souls or lives of other people. So it's possible. but that would mean he would have to die too. And I don't want that, which is probably reason why they're gonna do it. So that's it. That's almost everything that we know about the Infinity Stones and their reflection in the timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. Well, almost everything. There is one last little tidbit, and that Spider-Man 2, Tom Holland's opus, is going to take place literally like minutes after Avengers 4 finishes up, so whatever the effects of that movie are, they're going to be felt almost immediately. And I have a feeling we're going to be moving on to a post-Thanos, post-a-few characters you probably really care about world. But one thing's for sure though, this is a plan that as of the release of Infinity War, will be 10 years in the making. And they aren't going to screw it up now. But let me know your comments down below. I want to know your theories and your thoughts on what's going to happen here. You know how much we love discourse on the show. And of course, don't forget to hit that sub button for more news, more games, and more fun stuff. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. And as always, we'll see you next time. Bye.